Now I feel disrespect.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? Because it's like, damn, that guy's a man, my nigga. Come on. Don't say money.
Everybody do it for free, Ross. First of all, you know it love. Second of all, I got to call a spade when it's a spade.
He looked untouchable, fully in control of the moment. Then out of nowhere, Ross stood up and walked off. Now Rick Ross is firing back at DC Young Fly after DC dropped that so-called industry ritual receipt connected to Jonathan Audi. And the way this situation is unfolding, it feels less like a regular internet argument and more like a full-on witch hunt. DC basically put Ross under a spotlight. The timestamps are out, and suddenly people online are connecting dots that were sitting in plain sight for years. Now everyone is bringing up the podcast walkout, the strange late-night appearances, the exclusive all-white parties, and all the little moments that didn't make sense before. It's like folks finally realized there was a pattern this whole time. And when you circle back to Jonathan Ty's 2018 claims, saying Ross and Diddy were running something hidden behind the scenes, the entire conversation takes a sharper, darker turn. What once looked like harmless podcast drama or leaked party clips now feels like pieces of a much bigger, more tangled storyline. Ross responding now only adds more heat. It's another chapter in a situation that's been quietly building while everyone pretended it was nothing. But to understand how we reached this point, you have to go back to the moment that had the internet locked in, when Officer Ricky walked out on the 85 South show. The 85 South show, run by DC Young Fly, Carlos Miller, and Chico Bean, is stamped in comedy and hip-hop culture. These guys are known for calling things out without holding back. Ross came in chill, cracking jokes, talking about his music, his grind, his lifestyle. The vibe was smooth, right up until he said he needed to take off his jacket and hit the bathroom, and then vanished. No heads up. No explanation. Nothing. 1 minute he was sitting there cool and confident, and the next he dipped like someone cut the lights. He just slipped off camera like the moment meant nothing. DC sat there blinking, looking stunned and low-key offended. Carlos and Chico had that wait. Did he really just leave? Expression. The vibe flipped instantly. Jokes turned into confusion. Energy got tight. The whole room felt off. Then the internet exploded. DC didn't sugarcoat anything. He called Ross's move straight up disrespectful. And honestly, he wasn't exaggerating. This wasn't some random small podcast. The 85 South platform was built by 3 dudes who come from the same culture Ross always claims to represent. They created a space where artists and legends can sit down and connect with real fans. So when Ross walked out mid-conversation, it didn't feel casual. It felt personal. Social media picked it up instantly. Memes, clips, debates, everybody throwing in their own opinion.
Slippery soap. You know, I actually washed the car because I'm supporting my brother. I'm not just buying slippery soap. I'm actually using it myself. So, just stay tuned to see Diddy and Rose wash.
Some people defended Ross while others said he crossed the line. Either way, the moment spread everywhere. Ross eventually addressed it on The Breakfast Club, saying he was smoked out, locked into his own vibe, and didn't realize how it looked when he walked away. He claimed he had nothing but love for DC, Carlos, and Chico, calling them his little homies, and insisted the walkout wasn't meant to disrespect anyone. He chalked it up to bad timing, not bad intentions. But that's exactly where things got messy. Just a few hours later, Ross popped up sitting comfortably in a nearly 2-hour interview on a white-owned podcast. No rushing out, no disappearing, no confusion. He answered every question calmly, clearly, and without hesitation. That contrast is what set the internet on fire. The issue wasn't just the walkout anymore. People started questioning why Ross felt more comfortable there than with the 85 South crew. DC didn't bite his tongue. He called Ross out directly, asking why Ross could sit chilled for 2 hours on another show but couldn't stay focused with his own people. Why walk away from a platform that had supported him from day one? A lot of viewers caught the same detail, and suddenly Ross's mental lapse explanation didn't sound as believable as he hoped. It made people wonder whether something deeper was happening behind the scenes. Ross' team tried to cool things off quickly, blaming schedules, flights, and timing issues. But DC, Carlos, and Chico weren't buying any of that. For them, it wasn't about timing, it was about respect, loyalty, and how certain big artists treat homegrown platforms when the cameras are on. People stopped laughing at the clip and started looking closer. They began asking why a major figure like Ross could show more patience for a platform outside his culture than for one rooted in the very community he came from. And that's when the bigger picture started forming. Once you rewatch the interview with that context, a pattern starts appearing. Ross came in relaxed, laughing, joking, talking like he was right at home. The chemistry was smooth, almost too smooth. That's what made the sudden walkout feel even stranger. It didn't feel random. It felt intentional in a way nobody had words for at the time. DC's reaction, Ross slipping out, the awkward silence afterward. All of it stacked up into something that felt bigger than a simple misunderstanding. It exposed cracks people had never paid attention to. And now that more pieces have surfaced, the walkout hits differently. Ross's timing, the way he handled the two interviews, and DC's comments afterward all fit into a storyline that's been quietly building, whether Ross wanted people to see it or not. Things escalated even more when DC dropped those blurred party clips and the so-called receipts began circulating. That's when the whole situation shifted from a simple walkout to something with multiple layers. After Ross dipped, DC didn't just laugh it off. He called Ross out directly, saying, "I came for free. Don't worry about the analytics comments." It was a sharp reminder that Ross seemed to be downplaying the real value and influence behind the 85 South show. And DC made it clear this isn't some casual hangout spot. It's a serious platform respected across the culture. Legends like T.I., Snoop Dogg, Boozy, and Busta Rhymes pulled up without asking for a check or making things difficult. They came because they respected what the show represents. They understood that supporting the platform meant supporting the culture. Ross didn't bring that same energy, and that's what really stood out. Now here's the deeper layer. A lot of people skipped over the fact that DC had already noticed certain changes in Ross. He hinted that the industry shifted Ross in ways that had nothing to do with music or business meetings. And yes, DC came with hints and subtle receipts. He kept things subliminal, but the message was loud and clear. Ross is at a stage where protecting his brand and money sometimes outweighs loyalty or respect for the spaces that helped him rise. So this moment wasn't just about a jacket or a bathroom break. It became a symbol of how the industry can twist a person. Once you reach a certain level, every move becomes about image, power, and keeping certain doors open. And with those blurred party clips surfacing and old statements reappearing, people began viewing Ross as someone operating in circles where secrecy and quiet deals come before everything else.
He said Ross, which they good buddies, okay? They're gay.
Who?
Both. Diddy and Ross. And Kevin. They're all...
DC's reaction didn't just point out the disrespect. It cracked open a much bigger conversation about how success can shift someone's priorities, and how certain artists start choosing alliances based on power instead of community. Behind the scenes of hip-hop, there's a whole different world operating out of public view, and this is where things take a more intriguing turn. DC Young Fly didn't simply call Ross out and move on. He dropped a blurred clip that had the internet locked in instantly. And this wasn't some regular pool party. The footage showed an all-white, foam-covered private event at Ross Estate, and the rules around it were tight. NDAs, no phones, a strict dress code. Anyone walking through those gates had to follow the setup with no exceptions. The secrecy alone raised eyebrows, but the timing made it even more suspicious. Ross had just promoted a big public pool party online. Family-friendly energy, open vibe, fans invited. Then DC releases a blurred, coded clip that looked nothing like the polished event Ross was selling. It made people question why DC chose that exact moment to post it. Why drop something mysterious right after Ross advertised the clean version of a party? And when you line everything up, it becomes clear that this wasn't just a normal private night. The NDAs, the no-phone rule, the all-white attire, the limited guest list, it all gave the impression of something structured and highly selective. It hinted at circles operating on quiet loyalty, privacy, and unspoken expectations. People online didn't just see a secret party. They saw signs of deeper dynamics, the kind of whispers that float around the industry but rarely get confirmed. DC's point wasn't simply that Ross threw wild celebrity gatherings. It was about the atmosphere, the control, the privacy, the sense that certain parts of Ross's lifestyle were intentionally hidden from the public eye. Suddenly, the podcast walkout didn't feel like an isolated incident. It felt connected to a larger pattern. A pattern where Ross moves carefully to protect his influence and keep certain spaces away from public scrutiny. What DC showed wasn't just foam and music. It was a glimpse into a curated, guarded world most fans never see. And honestly, none of this should shock anyone who's been around the culture. People who remember Jonathan Addy's comments years ago know he tried to speak about similar things long before chaos followed him. Before the situation at Trump National Doral made headlines, and before anyone dismissed him as unstable, he had already said things that sounded extreme at the time. Back in 2018, Addy became infamous for storming the Trump resort and firing shots, creating a moment that looked completely out of control. But the part that matters here isn't the incident. It's what he claimed afterward about the industry. His statements were dramatic. He alleged that Diddy and Ross were connected to private, invite-only environments, secrecy, NDAs, and rituals. He even mentioned Cassie in ways people wrote off as wild storytelling. Everyone laughed it off and moved on. But now, with Diddy facing serious legal trouble, old party clips leaking, and new receipts floating online, people are replaying things they once ignored. Suddenly, that blurred foam party clip from Ross's estate isn't being viewed as just another moment. It looks similar to the kind of scene Addy talked about. When you line up Ross's private events with the things Addy described, the picture changes. It doesn't look like he was just hosting luxury parties. It starts to resemble someone operating in tightly controlled circles where privacy and rules come first. People are now realizing Ross might be moving like someone protecting influence, relationships, and a lot of money. That's why people call the situation a witch hunt vibe. Not because the internet is bored, but because certain patterns are getting harder to ignore. If you zoom out, Ross and Diddy have a long history that goes deeper than music. They share partners, endorsements, events, and a social circle that has always seemed more exclusive than ordinary. And some of those events came with rules far stricter than fans ever realized. The blurred clip DC posted, white attire, NDAs, no phones, restricted access, lines up with the type of setups Addy tried to warn people about. What once sounded unbelievable is now looking like a puzzle people are finally piecing together. The rules around these private gatherings were so intense that anyone paying attention had to pause.
I really didn't know it was a big deal when I didn't finish that interview. 85 South, they're my little homies, so this is what I need y'all to do. Hit the homies up and let them know Rose will finish the interview.
Only select people were allowed inside, and everything that happened seemed tightly controlled. When you study those blurred clips closely, the energy feels off. The way people move, the structured layout of the room. Everything gives a strange, curated vibe that raises more questions than answers. And when you combine that atmosphere with Addy's old claims, the puzzle pieces start aligning in ways most people overlooked years ago. He once spoke about secretive gatherings, NDAs, controlled environments, and powerful figures moving behind the scenes, mentioning both Diddy and Ross in the discussions he shared. Back then, people dismissed him. But now, with clips like DC's foam party footage circulating, his comments feel like part of a larger conversation. Pieces that never seemed connected suddenly fit. That brings us to the larger fallout in the storyline. Diddy, one of the most influential moguls in modern music, the face of Bad Boy, a man who built an empire on networking and visibility, has been depicted as facing serious legal trouble tied to long-running accusations within this narrative world. Earlier this year in the storyline, he appeared in federal court in New York, answering to charges linked to misconduct. After months of updates, hearings, and statements, he was portrayed as being cleared of conspiracy-related accusations, but found guilty on 2 counts connected to improper transportation under the Mann Act. The court handled the details carefully, showing how complicated the case was in this fictional arc. Because of his past issues, the story describes him receiving no bail, moving directly into pretrial detention. When sentencing arrived on October 3, 2025, this fictional narrative outlines that the judge imposed 50 months in federal custody, followed by supervised release and a financial penalty of $500,000. Over 4 years behind bars, plus monitoring afterward, a massive shift for someone portrayed as once standing at the top. In this storyline, even inside custody, Diddy was said to be enrolled in the RDAP program and helping out in the chapel. But that doesn't change the fact that this represents a dramatic fall for a figure once seen as a titan of culture. These fictional legal consequences didn't appear randomly. The narrative ties them to past allegations involving Cassie and other women, combined with claims tied to the Combs enterprise. The storyline paints a picture of pressure, intimidation, and misuse of influence. Even though Diddy addressed parts of those claims, the narrative portrays the system ultimately holding him accountable for significant wrongdoing. This fictional arc goes beyond headlines. It reshapes how the industry circles around him are viewed. And that's where Ross re-enters the picture. Ross and Diddy, at least within this storyline, move in overlapping circles. Same events, same private environments, same NDAs, same invite-only dynamics. Suddenly, those blurred clips and tightly controlled settings feel heavier. In the narrative, fans online speculate that if a giant like Diddy could face scrutiny, Ross could easily be next. Creates tension, and people are watching him with heightened attention. The message in this storyline is simple. No matter how big your name is, nobody is beyond reach. Those closed-door gatherings, strict rules, and shadowy environments can come back around. Ross has always kept a polished public image, but if any major receipts in this fictional universe leak, his legacy could face challenges. That's why everything involving Ross, DC Young Fly, and the blurred footage feels bigger than just entertainment content. It feels like a window into how the top tier of the industry operates when the quiet stuff starts hitting the surface. Truth is, secretive celebrity events have always existed. Hollywood and the music world have hosted invite-only, NDA-heavy, no-phone gatherings for decades. Nothing new. That's just how high-level networking works. But when names like Rick Ross and Diddy are tied to these events, the stakes rise. Their circles are louder, more influential, and filled with people who guide culture, business, and entertainment. These aren't tiny VIP rooms. These are events packed with A-listers, investors, brand executives, recognizable faces. One slip-up can get clipped, shared, and dissected instantly. So when DC Young Fly posted that blurred phone party clip, with NDAs, all-white outfits, no phone rules, and a tightly controlled setting, fans immediately started digging. They slowed frames down, analyzed wristbands, watched guest movements, even inspected shadows. They weren't looking at a celebration. They were studying a hidden world Ross and Diddy may have operated in within this storyline. That's where the tension explodes. When events look this controlled and the figures involved have huge reputations, secrecy turns into suspicion fast. Just look at the fictional downfall of Diddy. Now dealing with federal custody, backlash, and a public narrative shift. It shows how fast things can flip when powerful circles get wrapped in controversy. If Ross isn't careful in this storyline, he could find himself in the same position. Now zoom in on Ross directly. The 85 South walkout, the blurred footage, Addy's old claims resurfacing. Everything stacks together, making him look unpredictable, dismissive, and possibly hiding more than he shows. And in hip-hop, perception is everything. One viral moment can shift an entire career. Brand deals, collaborations, media trust, it all gets questioned instantly. And when DC called Ross out publicly, the narrative around Ross gained new weight. Instead of clearing things up, Ross kept silent. Fans filled in the gaps. Walkouts, private events, old claims. It all starts looking connected once you line everything up. People are now asking whether Ross is simply being strategic or keeping something bigger tucked away. Legacy isn't built only on hits or money. It's built on respect, credibility, and how the next generation interprets your choices. And right now, Ross is balancing all three in a risky way. DC's clip dented his polished image and opened a door to questions that won't fade easily. Social media magnifies everything. Insiders pay attention, too. One more slip, one more leak, and the whole storyline could flip again. Ross could emerge as a respected legend, or he could become an example of someone who drifted too close to powerful circles and ended up caught in the fallout. The stakes are huge: future collaborations, sponsorships, media relationships, and even how history frames his career. All of it sits in a gray zone right now, with the energy around him intensifying. Every clip, every detail, and every quiet move is being watched. How Ross handles this moment could shape his entire future in the game.